a certain trend in the homemaking social media space that showcases this overarching aesthetic of a curated home, curated kitchens, living rooms that are clean, pristine. It's beautiful. But for moms of littles, that is often an unrealistic goal. If you have ever felt like you were trapped in your situation, you didn't have the means to get on a homestead, get some land, get those sweet animals and big, beautiful gardens, well, I felt that way too. And I have felt guilty in thinking I needed those things in order to enjoy my family. There is a longing for true connection, meaningful connection with my family members, with my husband, with my kids. And the big draw of working on a homestead is truly everybody together working towards a singular purpose. And when I was able to allow my family, my children, into my kitchen and let them work with me on making meals and helping with meal prep and baking bread and all of that, that's when this vision truly started to realize. And that's not that easy. It's not easy to let go of your zone of control, especially when we are talking about little kids. When we let them bake with us, there's often extra spills that we need to manage. They might mess up the ratios, pour a whole bunch of something in that's not supposed to be. And it's okay. It's all part of the journey. It's all part of the experience. You can see in my video over here, I almost always have a child or more around me or underfoot. And that's not been an easy situation for me to accept. When I finally learned to temper my own attitude, it's just made this whole cooking from scratch journey that much sweeter. There are some tips and tricks that I have picked up along the way that I'm going to share with you. One of them is letting your family know what to expect during mealtime. I am making this naan here that I have made on repeat several times for my family this week. It is something that they ask for all the time. So the recipe is 5 cups of flour, salt, yeast, a third cup of sugar, and about a quarter cup of sesame oil. And that's my secret ingredient. I love the flavor of sesame in bread. But when I did finally do that, when I did finally let them in my space, it's actually been so much easier for me to bake the bread and to make meals, good, healthy meals that take time to make. Comfort foods are super important for your childhood. They make memories for children and bring people back to good childhood days. A comfort food for me would be just simple, spicy, and convivial. That is why I prioritize baking from scratch and cooking from scratch. I think because I was raised with this particular type of cooking. I didn't know growing up that food could just be popped out of a can or be bought in a box and stuck in the oven. That's not how my mom did things, and that is why I don't do things that way. My days are busy, and it would be far more convenient for me to buy pre-packed snack items or, just frozen foods. But the convenience of those sorts of meals doesn't really add up to the entire experience of cooking together and eating together and really enjoying our time spent around food as a family. Dinner, I made oxtail bean soup. Now, you don't find oxtails at your regular Walmart, but if you have a specialty meat store, we've got something called Wild Fork, and they have all sorts of specialty meats that are freshly packaged, and so they are really good quality. But we get all sorts of cuts that you wouldn't normally find, and one of them is oxtail. Now, oxtail doesn't have a ton of meat on the bone, but it has so much flavor and collagen, and it's just a really good and healthy cut of meat to make a really good stew. I started by browning the oxtail meat on the stove with some butter, and then for the sauce, I added some vinegar, pepper, sugar, molasses, gochujang, which is like a red fermented chili paste that you'd find at an Asian store. I added soy sauce, and I chopped up an onion, and then I topped it up with some water to braise the meat and the beans together and just let it simmer for a little bit until I liked the texture and consistency of the sauce. These are the types of foods that make memories.